Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into enterprise AI in late 2025. We've moved past the novelty, and we're into the hard part now, the scaling. Everyone seems to have a successful pilot, but the big question is, what's it going to take to make AI a fundamental engine for business value?
That's the whole story right now, isn't it? We've pulled together the latest from McKinsey and some pretty incredible proprietary data from OpenAI, and we're trying to answer one core question for you. How do you graduate from those small, successful experiments,
Like the little lab projects.
exactly, to delivering measurable enterprise-level impact? I mean, we're talking about hitting metrics like EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, like the real measure of success.
So we are done with potential. We want proof. And the first piece of proof from McKinsey really, it outlines this big tension in the market.
A huge tension.
Yeah.
Let's set the stage. If you think back to early 2024, Gen AI adoption was already pretty broad. Something like 65% of organizations said they were using it. But the 2025 data, it shows this huge chasm. Only about a third of those same organizations say they're scaling AI across the entire enterprise. So usage is high, but real value at scale, it's still elusive.
That feels like the classic organizational failure mode, right? We buy the flashy new tool, but we don't change the underlying system to support it. But hold on, before we dive into the failures, what's the actual financial prize here? If scaling is this hard, is it even worth the fight?
Oh, it's absolutely worth it. The fight is,
Yeah.
it's huge. McKinsey's analysis pegs the potential at just a staggering number, 2.6 to 4.4 trillion dollars of annual value.
Utillion. Wow.
And that's just across 63 specific use cases. Now, that number is based on perfect implementation, which we just said isn't happening. But
Right.
it definitely defines the opportunity cost of just standing still.
I appreciate that caveat. So $4.4 trillion is the ceiling. But even a tiny piece of that is world-changing. Where should organizations be, aiming their efforts to get the easiest wins?
Right, you can't boil the ocean. So the bulk of that value is concentrated in 4 core areas. And it's because that's where the cognitive work lines up perfectly with what these models do best.
Okay, but what are it?
Customer operations, marketing and sales, software engineering, and R&D.
Okay, so we know the models work. We know the opportunity is massive. So if only a third of companies are scaling, what's the core bottleneck that the other two-thirds are citing?
It's the scaling hurdle, and it is entirely organizational. When they point to the blockers, they aren't saying the models are too weak or the tech isn't there. They're citing things like workflow redesign, data quality, operating model problems. The technology is ready to run a marathon. The organization hasn't even laced up its shoes.
That brings up a really critical point about strategy then. If 8 in 10 companies are still just focused on efficiency, just cutting costs, that sounds like a recipe for incremental success. It's not going to scale. What are the high performers doing differently?
They fundamentally changed the goalposts. Efficiency is always there, sure. But the high performers, they explicitly add revenue and innovation goals. And this isn't just, a change on a mission statement slide. It's a capital allocation mechanism. When you set revenue goals, you force cross-functional commitment. AI stops being just an IT project, and it becomes part of the core business growth strategy.
That makes so much sense. The second you tie it to growth, you get the C-suite's attention, the budget, everything you need to redesign that core. Okay, so let's look at the other side of this, the workers. If the leaders are struggling, what are the people actually using the tools seeing? OpenAI's data from 9,000 workers, it seems to offer a powerful counter-narrative.
It really does. The data proves adoption isn't just broad, it is deepening and fast. It's going from a curiosity to a mission-critical tool.
Oh.
Over the last year, weekly messages in ChatGPT Enterprise shot up roughly 8 times, 8x.
Wow.
And the average worker is sending about 30% more messages, so it's getting more intense.
Okay, intensity is one thing, but is it just like casual brainstorming? Or is this structured, repeatable work that actually moves the needle?
This is where the data gets really exciting.
Huh.
Usage of structured workflows, so things like building internal projects or custom GPTs for specific tasks, that increased 19 times.
19.
19x year to date. This signals a huge maturity shift. Workers are actively embedding AI into their real processes, not just, using it for one-off prompts.
So they're using it intensely, structurally, daily. What's the return they're seeing, like at the individual level? Are they actually faster, or does it just feel productive?
No, they are definitively faster.
Yeah.
Across all the companies surveyed, 75% of workers report improved speed or quality. And the time savings, they're striking. Workers are saving 40 to 60 minutes a day. The heavy users, these frontier workers we'll get to, they're saving over 10 hours a week. That is real productivity, whether the enterprise has a system to capture it or not.
We hear this phrase a lot, that AI reduces the gap between intent and execution. Does the OpenAI data actually back that up, or is it just making old tasks a little faster?
It absolutely backs it up. And this might be the most powerful insight. AI is enabling entirely new types of work. 75% of users say they can complete new tasks they just couldn't do before. And we see this so clearly in non-technical roles. Coding-related messages went up 36% for workers outside of engineering.
So a marketing manager who needed to run a script or an HR person drafting a complex policy, they can now bridge that technical gap themselves. They don't need to file a ticket with the dev team.
Precisely. It's democratizing high-skill output. But this leads right into the frontier gap, which is, it's the scaling bottleneck made personal. The data shows this massive disparity between the median user and the super users.
How wide are we talking?
It's huge. The frontier workers, the top 5%, they send 6 times more messages than the median employee. And the frontier firms, the companies actually getting this right, send 2 times more messages per seat than their peers. This proves, unequivocally, that the main constraint now is organizational readiness. It's not the tool. It's not the model.
Okay, that confirms the diagnosis. We know the value is there. Workers are saving an hour a day. And we know the operating model is the disease. So if the problem is organizational readiness, how do we fix it? What's the prescription?
The core mandate from both sources is simple, but it's also brutal. Workflow redesign is non-negotiable, period. You can't just bolt an AI co-pilot onto a 20-year-old process and expect big returns. It's like putting a Formula One engine in a 1980s car. The chassis is going to fall apart.
So you have to rebuild the chassis. What does that look like in practice?
It means fundamentally redesigning the process flows. Take a sales playbook or a support runbook. You have to rebuild the decision points, the content, the tools. You do it so that AI becomes the default path, not an optional little side window you can open. You have to re-platform your content so the AI can act reliably on its own.
Where should companies focus their finite resources to get the quickest returns on that kind of heavy lift?
Stick to those 4 value pools. For software engineering, focus on tools for code suggestions, drafting pull requests, test generation. For customer operations, that's often the fastest ROI focus on assisted resolution, getting the right knowledge to agents, next best action stuff. And then for sales and marketing, it's all about personalized messaging, automating proposals, and keeping the pipeline clean.
And central to all of that, especially the more advanced stuff, is the rise of the AI agent. We've heard the term agent for years, but this analysis suggests they're actually becoming useful now.
They are. Because agents can plan, they can call tools, they can do multi-step work without constant supervision. We see them being used heavily in engineering and customer ops. But the key takeaway for you is that to use agents, you have to build an agent-ready stack.
And what defines an agent-ready stack?
It's really 3 things. Policy guardrails, the ability to call tools, and really robust retrieval systems. You have to securely connect the agents to your real business systems, your CRM, your ticketing system, your code pipelines, and you need governance that tells the agent exactly what it can and can't do. Without that, they're just a lab experiment.
Okay, so if we do all that, we redesign workflows, we deploy agents, we still need to manage the risk and, crucially, prove it worked. Let's talk governance and measurement, because both sources say this is where promising programs just stall out.
Yeah, measurement maturity is incredibly low right now. Most companies are just tracking usage counts. Vanity metrics, you have to move to a dual system.
Okay, walk us through that. What are the required metrics?
You need leading and lagging indicators. Leading indicators track the health of the AI itself. Active users, tasks automated, hallucination rate, guardrail blocks. But, and this is the important part, those have to be tied directly to lagging business results. The bottom line stuff, EBIT impact, CSAT scores, conversion rates, cycle time reduction. If you can't connect that agent drafting a PR summary to a faster development cycle, the program is going to lose its funding.
And on the risk side, what are the big ones that the high-performing firms are actively managing?
The 3 majors are data leakage, hallucinations, and that hidden problem of shadow AI. For data leakage, the fix is technical. Scoped retrieval, redaction, watermarking sensitive outputs. For hallucinations, the core control is grounding every single response against your internal verified knowledge, and then you have to measure the answer acceptance rate, the override rate by your human users.
And what about that widespread employee usage, the shadow AI?
That's the risk of change fatigue in shadow AI. And since the data proves employees are already using the tools anyway, a blanket ban is just useless. It just pushes it underground where it's unmanaged. The right move is to invest in formal enablement policies, guide the usage, set up guardrails, train people. This is even true in highly regulated sectors.
Speaking of, that's often the ultimate excuse, right? We can't scale, we're in financial services or healthcare. Is it actually possible?
Oh, absolutely. The sources are clear that scaling is happening in regulated fields. They do it by adopting tiered risk models, classifying AI tasks by risk level, and keeping a human in the loop for the really high-stakes stuff.
Mm.
They also have to align their policies, like UK GDPR, with their global AI policies. It's definitely harder, but the successful organizations are already doing it.
Which brings us to the final synthesis. It's really clear that 2025 is the year enterprise AI stopped being a tech story and officially became an organizational transformation story. The tech is, it's not the variable anymore.
That is the absolute truth. The final takeaway for you is this: AI won't create value by itself. Value is only captured when leaders are brave enough to set those growth objectives, to fundamentally rewire the operating model, and to implement robust measurement. If your pilots aren't delivering clear EBIT impact, I promise you, the problem is your operational structure, not your AI model.
And that structural failure is the most expensive mistake a company can make right now. It leads to a final, really provocative thought for you, the listener, as a business leader. The OpenAI data showed that your frontier workers are already saving 40 to 60 minutes a day on their own through shadow optimization. So the big question is, are you just tolerating that hour of latent productivity? Or have you systematically rewired your system to capture those 40, 60 minutes across thousands of employees and convert it into a specific measurable metric, like a 15% reduction in L1 ticket handling time? That $4.4 trillion prize is waiting for the organizations willing to rebuild the cockpit, not just admire the pilot. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Reflect on where your own organization stands. Are you still admiring adoption, or are you executing the scaling redesign? We'll catch you next time.